Here are the top stories on ABC News. Keir Starmer is on course to be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, with exit polls suggesting the Labor Party will have a big win in the general election. It's projected to claim around 410 seats, which will be a significant parliamentary majority. The governing Conservative Party is tipped to be reduced to around 131 seats. Queensland Police have been accused of inviting Indigenous children to play in the back of a police wagon at one of the state's biggest NAIDOC Week events. The event was held a week early at Inala in Brisbane southwest to try and attract more children during the school holidays. A police spokesperson says a complaint by a community member led to the vehicle being removed from the event. The federal government has unveiled a new voluntary industry code to try and improve the safety of Australians using online dating apps. Companies including Bumble, Grindr and RSVP have signed on to the code, which was developed at the request of the government. The companies will have to proactively escalate complaints where there is an imminent threat to a user's safety and terminate users found to have violated policies. Senator Fatima Payman says her decision to quit the Labor Party was accelerated by the Prime Minister's comments in Parliament. The West Australian senator announced her resignation yesterday after she was indefinitely suspended for crossing the floor on a Greens motion regarding Palestinian statehood. She says she was motivated by Anthony Albanese's comments on Wednesday that he expected an announcement from the senator imminently. Queensland Police liaison officers have been accused of inviting Indigenous children to play in the back of a police wagon at one of the state's biggest NAIDOC Week events. For more, we're joined by reporter Ariana Levy in Brisbane. Ari, just how did this unfold?
Good morning, Dan. This was certainly quite distressing. Now, this NAIDOC Week event was held in Inala in Brisbane southwest. It is quite a large event and it was held a week early, and that was largely to attract more young people to the event during the school holiday period. Now, Inala is home to a large population of First Nations people. Many local residents attend the NAIDOC Week event annually, and they say that unlike previous years, this year, Queensland Police Service's exhibit, which usually has a stall, didn't have a stall, and instead it had a police vehicle that was parked up and showcased, and one of the activities that police liaison officers hosted was allowing children to get into the back of the paddy wagon. Now, the ABC had spoken to one of the local residents that made a complaint, and she said that unfortunately by the time she actually went up to the exhibit to complain, she says she'd already witnessed several young children who had been locked up in the back of that paddy wagon and were slowly being let out. Now, Queensland Police Service have said in a statement that they were approached, did confirm that they were approached by a local community member. They said that when those concerns were raised, that they immediately packed up and they left the vicinity as soon as possible.
Ari, what's been the response there?
Well, it's been a bit of outrage among First Nations communities here in Queensland. We've actually heard from the head of the network of incarcerated and formerly incarcerated women and girls. In a statement, they said that this activity, when they were made aware of it, was deeply inappropriate. We've also heard from a local Inala professor who was actually the resident that made the complaint. She said that she was disappointed that these police liaison officers, who are specially appointed but not sworn in officers, and their entire role is to effectively engage with the community. She says that she was disappointed that this was the activity they chose. She also says that she was completely distressed by the fact that children were cosplaying as criminals. We've heard from Queensland Police who have responded also in a statement. Now, they've said that they take on this feedback very seriously. They've continued further discussions with community stakeholders, and they'll be taking all of this into account when they plan for future events like this.
Ariana Levy reporting. A number of popular dating apps have agreed to follow new voluntary rules to ensure user safety. A working group of key industry players, including Match Group, the parent company of Tinder, helped draw up the voluntary code with the federal government. Companies will be required to take action against users found to have violated online safety and improve how complaints are escalated. The government says it's a world-leading agreement.
Keeping Australians safe is the top priority of the Albanese government. This includes keeping Australians safe online. And when it comes to dating apps, we have been made aware through research by the Australian Institute of Criminology that some 3 in 4 people who use those apps who were surveyed said they experienced some form of technology-facilitated abuse. The majority of these victims are women. Last year, we convened the first of its kind roundtable with dating app providers regulators, law enforcement agencies, advocates and victim survivor groups. We are pleased to say that the industry has been engaged with governments, with my department and with appropriate regulatory agencies. And we have received the industry's code of practice for their dating apps.
Victim survivors also were very clear in the roundtables that Minister Rowland and myself held that they wanted to have transparent, clear complaints processes. And this code of conduct requires that they be prominent, that people understand how, if they are subject to this type of behaviour, that they can make these complaints. So this code is well developed. As Minister Rowland said, it is world leading, and it's an important concrete step that shows that we are serious about technological facilitated abuse and addressing that within the community.